Welcome back to this tutorial series for Stellaris, where we are going to go through all the mechanics within the game in a organic way, rather than going through every single system one by one, because it is a intricate web of systems that interact with each other in so many ways that looking at them one by one really would not make all that much sense. We're currently playing on the 2.7 build of the game, and is also on only vanilla. No DLCs, no mods, except for one. We are using the Tiny Outlier mod. I highly recommend for you to download it if you can. You don't need to use it. It's just for my own convenience. Today we're going to be looking at expansion as well as exploration. Now we are stuck here in this little cluster and we haven't actually explored any of these systems. And there is a good reason for that. We do not have a certain edict yet. And that edict is Map the Stars. Map the Stars is something that we've unlocked from using the discovery tree. The first unlock is Map the Stars, and that right there will give us a bigger chance of getting more anomalies, because the more anomalies we can get, the more we can consolidate resources within our space. And that's really what we want. However, we do not currently have enough influence. Therefore, we've sent out a single spaceship, and we're actually going to move it out all the way over here. Actually, we're just going to go ahead and just send it out around the galaxy as far as we can and see whether or not we can do something here. What we can also do, actually, we can just go to this system here and hit the little button at the bottom here. That will mean that the system is now restricted. That basically means that no ships are allowed to go into this system. At the same time, what we're going to do is we're just going to right click here. He's not allowed to go down there just yet. Interesting. All right, cool. So what we're just going to do is we're just going to make sure that they explore the system here and unlock this. This is very useful for systems where there is stuff that you do not want to move into, like aliens that hang around in space. So what can we do at this moment onwards? Well, we have our first colony underway. There is like and subscribe. It's a brand new place for our people to live. It's sadly only a size 12, which is not all that great because it means that we cannot build enough districts there, which is a bit of a shame, but we can overcome that later on. On top of that, back here, there is most likely another planet for us to colonize, and that is great. And in addition, our leader has gotten an upgrade. They've got an eye for talent even, which means that our leaders will grow even faster. Good. So we have basically established our initial area that we want to expand from. And first thing we're going to do is we are going to go and select our construction ship here and make sure that we get both mining stations in this system. Another way of doing this is actually going towards the galaxy map, right-clicking on the system and build all the mining stations there. That means that we will basically build every single station that is available there. We will do the same thing with every single energy station that is available within the map, as well as over here. Energy is always good because the stations are free except for the minerals. Any other mining stations will always have an upkeep of 1 energy, and we want to make sure that we do not waste too much energy early on, because we can use that to buy more resources down the line. In addition, this place over here, this station, we are going to upgrade this to a next tier. Why are we going to upgrade this? Because it's sitting on a choke node. And choke nodes are important for defensive purposes later on in the game. I've already built one over here, and as you can see, we got some modules on here, but we're not going to develop that just yet because, well, we don't know what we are up against potentially down this here hyperlane system. And the same actually goes for this hyperlane system. So we've sent out this ship over here into the wild yonder in order to find out what is going on back there, and also if we can make first contact. First contact is very important because it means that we can get more influence, and right now we are gagging for that influence. We currently only have +3, and that is a problem because there is really no way for us to improve that. Oh, look at that, our science ship has found another continental world out here, but hasn't surveyed it just yet, and as soon as it leaves the system, by tracking our cross, it will lose any sort of detail that we have about that system, which is a shame because, well, we know that there's a continental world in there, but as soon as we move on from there, we will no longer be able to see it. On top of that, we got another science ship over here. We're going to send that over towards Alpha Centauri and assist research so that we can get more research bonuses there. And it also keeps our other science ships occupied. We already have a science ship over here who is doing exactly the same. At least it should be doing it exactly. And it will give Earth a modifier saying that it is giving a assist research bonus. The higher the level of our scientists, the more bonuses it will get. And I think it maxes out at 20, which is fine for us. But as you see, we are not actually surveying any of our system yet because we are in fact waiting for Map the Stars. Let's speed things up a little bit and take a look at Earth. Now we have a population surplus here almost, which is good for us. It also means that we can potentially build another building. Now we can go for some alloys, but we're not. We're going to build probably one of the most important buildings within the early game. And that right there is the wonders. If we already have it, we don't have access to it yet. Geez, what was I thinking? We still have 14 months until the robot assembly plant is done. That's the building I was talking about. It's insanely good. Why is it insanely good? Well, it means that we can build twice as many pops in parallel than before, which is great because it means we can build robots as well as grow normal pops at the same time. So basically we get double the pops, and pops are life, therefore we can do better. In the meantime, what are we doing here? Well, this pop is going to be done soon, and we need a job for them. But I don't want to use the building slot just yet. Oh, I could use the building slot because one is about to unlock. As you can see, we currently have 34 pops as well. And as soon as we hit 35, which won't be very long from now, oh yeah, that will be in a couple of months, then we will unlock the next slot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to build ourselves a research laboratory. Another one, a third one. You don't necessarily have to do this. This is something that I personally really like to do. It's mainly so that we can increase our growth in research, which I think is very, very important. Tradition-wise, faith in science, yes. Pop working with research have their upkeep reduced, which is exactly what we want, so that we can get lower cost on all of our pops. As you can see, the pop has grown and it currently has no job. It's still going to need to wait about three quarters of a year in order to get everything going. There we go. We just made first contact, but it is with a fallen empire. That is a shame. So we found ourselves a fallen empire. A fallen empire is a special type of alien species that is significantly more advanced than we are. And it's a shame that it's the first contact that we made because, well, we can't really do all that much with them until the late game. They are not interested in us. They don't want to really do anything. And also means that we know where the blockers in space are. So we can't really expand past this point because this empire, as we go and click on one of their little flag icons, is extremely powerful. It is overwhelming in ships, it is overwhelming in science, and it's overwhelming in economy. They also have a large amount of population as well as several other things, and going to fight against them would not be a good idea. Thankfully, they are enigmatic observers, so they're not really interested in us except for some observational things, let's put it that way. But it does mean that we have another route that we can go through, so we're just going to go and explore down here, and let's hope that we can find some aliens down the line. But it also kind of opens up the road for our potential late game expansion. We know there's no aliens over here. We know there's no aliens over here, which means that this particular cluster over here is potentially a great way to expand. So we're going to go and send at least one of our science ships over in towards this region, whereas the other ones are just going to go and finish up the research in our cluster, as well as down this route. Very important stuff because we need to know where the potential boundaries are within our empire. Where are our goals? Where can we safely expand into and potentially get resources? This is basically the key of the game. The problem, however, is that it means that this cluster over here is going to be our key. Our key in such a way that, well, the southern area is going to be difficult to defend because we have a single cluster. So if somebody invades us and takes this system, or more importantly, this system over here, we're going to be in deep, deep trouble, and we want to avoid that at all costs. We got the increase in pop growth speed. That is great. Let's quickly pause here and look at our options. Planetary unification. Let's go and grab that. 18 months, and it will give us a great bonus down the line. And on top of that, we will have the ability to create new robot models, as well as potentially get new science. We're going to go for nanomechanics here for the robot, for the tech bonus, just so we can research even faster. And on top of that, we are going to go in here and build the most important building in the game. There it is, the robot assembly plant. Now, the robot assembly plant will build us robots gradually over time, and that will cost us alloys a month. So it will cost us a total of 2 or 4, depending on how we do things. But again, as I've mentioned before, whilst we are building this robot assembly plant, at the same time, it basically means that any worker that is in the district, and there's jobs open over here, and right now we got a job open in the research labs, and soon too in the robot assembly plants, it means that workers from the worker stage will start to try to move into those specialist jobs over here. And once we get to that point, we will talk a little bit more about that. That right there is potentially problematic in the long term. Let's put it that way. Anyway, we've made first contact with some aliens. They are not who we thought they would be. Sadly, they are not anything useful to us. In the same time, we're just going to go ahead and actually send out our other science ship and explore down here. Oh, good. We got a random event that gives us +5 happiness, and that is just absolutely wonderful. That's the kind of thing that I like to see around these parts. Let's put it that way. But yeah, we are actively trying to find new aliens and new destinations, just so that we can make first contact and get some more influence. Although at this stage, we are basically almost ready. So we're just going to go and keep our ships here. We're going to send this ship over here. You're going to go over here just to explore, just so they can be on standby to get ready to survey all of these systems. Because we are very close, and so close, in fact, that we can enact Map the Stars, which is what we just did, and it will increase our survey speed by 25%, but also increase the anomaly chance by 10%. Now, we're not going to send out our ships just yet. We need to potentially take a look here. Yeah, there we go. Meticulous. Probably one of the best survey options in the game. So we're going to go and recruit the scientist and place him on this ship. Because now this ship will have a bonus of almost 20% to find new anomalies. And that is a huge, huge, huge deal. We definitely want to make sure that we can get as many anomalies as possible. So we're just going to go ahead and survey here and start selecting things. As I mentioned before, we can chain all this stuff up and basically say, hey, I want to chain all these things together by using the shift key. So we're just going to go ahead and survey all of these systems and chain up our survey goals and just go down here. And we'll do the same thing with this science ship as well. And then this guy down here, he's got a special job. He's going to go and survey everything in this sector. And that right there is going to be important for our long-term expansion plans. Because we want to take control of this area as well as this area over here. Now, the robot lab is done. And as you can see, we currently have 2 available jobs. And those are all available in the districts. And because of this, if we quickly go down here, you could see that we are missing 2 clerks. And that means that we are currently not producing as much trade value and amenities. Now, amenities is a relatively new system that has been added, I believe, in the 2.2 version of the game back at Le Guin. Basically, what it does is that it has a upkeep bonus. Every single pop has an upkeep bonus of amenities. They want to go out to plays, they want to go out to hairdressers, etc. And they want to make sure that all of that stuff here exists, and the clerks generate all that stuff. So what we could do here is say, hey, miners, I would like you to only work over here. So what we do right now is say, hey, we make this a priority job so that this job always exists and nobody moves out of it. And right now it has taken one of the farmer jobs and one of the technician jobs, basically. But however, in a bit, once the first robot comes online, it will start replacing our miners because the robots will be superior to our fleshbots, i.e. people, in the mining department. So they will start replacing the robots in the mines, and the workers down here will start moving into the other departments, which is pretty darn important for us. Which is also one of the reasons why robot modding is so important, because you can specialize your robots to make them even more efficient in the realm some of whatever they're doing here. What kind of resources do we have in the system? A +3. I will take that. And then there's a +2 over here. I will take that as well. So right now we're just waiting for our science ships to find ourselves some new anomalies. And specifically this guy over here, considering he has a massive bonus to finding new anomalies, which is a pretty big deal. So we want to make sure that actually happens, and we found ourselves another planet. It's however, sadly completely useless. It is currently sitting around this toxic world, and it is arid, and we cannot use that sadly because arid worlds are not part of anything that we can use. Where are you going? You are going to go and survey over here, my friend. Not entirely sure what's going on there. Sometimes the pathfinding is a little bit wonky. But yeah, they're going to go ahead and survey all of that. And then this guy is going to survey this little cluster over here, which is, again, pretty darn important. And by the time all these systems are surveyed, we should have enough resources in order to expand over there, at least once all these stations are done. And now, a very important thing has happened. We have factions. Factions are a special thing within the game that generate influence. Basically, factions are groups of people within our society that have certain goals, and if you work towards those goals, then you will get more influence because those factions will generate influence. Right now we have 2, and we can quickly go over here towards the faction screen. And as you can see, the full enfranchised initiative has a full support. So basically, this particular faction wants to make sure that we are not autocratic, that there's free movement, that there is no influence on our reproductive values, and that there is no stratification. So yeah, if for instance, if we ran a stratified economy in our policy screen, these guys would not be particularly happy about that. Reproductive freedoms, same thing there. Anyway, long story short, we are now getting +5 influence rather than the +3 that we got before because of the bonus that we can get. The larger the faction, the more influence we can get, and we can take a quick look here. We need a new contact to make sure that this faction is also happy, but thankfully, it looks like we are just about to make first contact. Okay, so we are 9 months away from first contact from Cacodemons, and this is underneath the situation log. So let's go and take a look at these guys and see what is going on. If it's actually an alien species, it looks like it is. There is a alien spacecraft over here, and it looks like it's mammalian. Very exciting. So it could be that an alien species is sitting over in this pocket, which is not all that great, but that's pretty much how it is. And first contact is going to give us an amount of influence, and is also going to make our faction happy, which is exactly what we want. All right. This is a challenging. Okay, the sensor profile of a mid-sized vessel was briefly detected inside the upper atmosphere of this gas giant. I know what this anomaly is, and it is very, very good. Basically, what is happening here is that there is a large ship hiding out inside of this gas giant. And if we get it out of there, we will get a new ship to add to our only burgeoning fleet. But however, this is a cruiser size ship. Now, right now, we can make a decision. We could go and research it. We could leave it for now and just continue serving the system until we can apply a scientist that is a little bit more relevant. However, this is our best scientist, so it may not be all that prudent. Besides, it's only going to take 200 days to do it, so we're just going to go ahead and research this project. Now, we can apply any scientist to this if we want to. However, we want some more points on this level 3 guy, just so that we can use them to grind down all of these anomalies. The real thing that you need to take a look at is which trait this scientist has even, because the better the trait it has, like maniacal or genius or something like that, or a specific science trait that you want, you can level it up through these anomalies, and that's exactly what we want. Colony development speed, that is excellent. It means that Alpha Centauri will level up quicker, and we can get quantum theory, which is yet again a science bonus, and science bonuses are awesome, therefore we want those. Cool. This planet is going to be done in 3 months' time. That is good news. And then we can start developing our first planet. Exciting times indeed. Well, now we've got our first colony online, and it's time to take a look at like and subscribe. As you can see, we only have 1 pop. If we had gone down the expansion tradition path, we would have been able to get colonization fever, which would have given us an additional pop, which is very, very powerful. And expansion and tradition are always a toss-up which of the ones you wanted. In this case, we wanted discovery because of the potential anomalies that we can get within our space. However, that's not what we're currently talking about. What we are talking about, however, is the joys of our planet. So what can we do here? Well, we have currently no jobs available, and we're going to need to build some jobs. The first thing that we're going to need to do on a new planet, and this is pretty standard every single time, we're going to need to build a city district because we need enough amenities and we need housing for our future population. So we're going to go and spend 500 minerals, of which we have more than enough, and actually start building a city district for our workers to live in. Then at the same time, we can take a look at our decisions and see what they do. For instance, we can distribute luxury goods, and that will increase amenities on the planet by 25%. Right now, we're only getting 8 in total, so 25%, well, that would mean that we would get 2 more amenities. In the past, you would have the improved planetary growth option as well. That is sadly no longer in the game, and normally we would enable that immediately because we would have enough food, but that is no longer in this build anymore, which is a shame. On top of that, right now, this world is designated as a colony, and that means that we will get a 20% growth speed on our planet, as well as increasing happiness, because apparently people get super happy living on a completely underdeveloped world. We can always change this somewhere down the line to something else by hitting this little cog and planet button and change it to whatever we want. If we want to turn this world into an agri world, which seems likely, or a generator world, which is also possible, or a forge world where we can get alloys, industrial world for consumer goods, etc., etc., etc. Tech worlds are also very, very good. So please be aware of that those are options. But don't do that right at the start. We want to keep it as a colony until we have the option to upgrade our planetary administration to something bigger. But sadly, we need 10 pops to do that. Our first building that we're going to build once we have 5 pops on this planet is, once again, a robotic assembly plant. In order to actually do some more stuff here, we could potentially resettle some of our population, but only if the right policies are enacted. So we can go to our policy screen here and actually say, hey there, I want to make sure that we can actually resettle. So that's on this little drop down here, and we can set this to allowed, and that would basically mean that for the next 10 years we are allowed to resettle, and once the 10 years are up, it's basically permanent, but we can also always go back to prohibited. You can only enact one of these every 10 years, so please be aware that these things have consequences for at least 10 years. Only after that time can you change them. Please be aware of that. Good, let's continue onwards here with the game and let our planet grow, and we have found ourselves an anomaly. Yes, it is from one of our scientists. We're going to leave this one for now, as this one in particular is only here to discover the anomalies themselves, not to survey them. And whilst we are talking about that, there is the gas giant ship. And this right here, if you roll it, and this is a really big one, you want to bring up this ship no matter what. Sure, you can get 50 influences from just ignoring it, but we definitely want to bring this up here. Okay. As you can see, our science ship is flying away, and as we select it, you can see it has a bunch of things being set to do, and this is all part of its queue. Now, we could just go ahead and say, hey, at the end of your queue, we hit shift, we right-click here, and then do the research project in this system, and then it will do all this stuff. However, there is a better way to do this. We actually want to make sure that we do this project right now. Normally, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do it right now, but this is the perfect opportunity to talk about this particular hotkey combination. And that is putting a order at the front of the queue, so to speak. So we want to make sure that all of these options, all of these queue items are still there. For instance, if we, say, hey, I want to research this project, our queue is gone. Okay, so that's not happening. So instead, we're just going to quickly rebuild this by hitting the survey button and holding the shift key, yada yada, and all that stuff. Very straightforward. But once we are here, oh god, it reset. Let me quickly just fix this. So let's quickly hit the Q button. That's perfect. So it's now all set up. Excellent. Did you just reset again? You cheeky bugger. Okay. There it is. That's the queue. Let's quickly go into the system. As you can see, it still has all the queues. However, we want to make sure that it does the salvage giant ship from the gas giant immediately without losing the queue. So we hold Control and Shift at the same time and then hit the research project, and now it will prioritize this one without losing the rest of the queue. So basically, we don't need to completely redraw our entire queue again and just do this special project immediately. And we have managed to make first contact, and we got 60 influence out of that, which is amazing, which is exactly what we wanted, but sadly they have managed to spawn in an area that we want. And here's our first contact screen. They look like alien space elves, which is a little bit annoying, but they are xenophile, which is good because it means that they won't attack us very easily, and they are militarist, which means that their ships are a little bit more powerful. Now, we've got a couple options here. They don't really do anything, but yeah, these are just all fluff things and, you know, what kind of species they are. Let's have a quick look here at their species. They are overwhelming to us. They are belligerent, and this would be a good time to start politics. Ah, yes, it's time to grow our soft power. As you can see at the top of the screen, we got 2 envoys. And those 2 envoys have, from the first 12 years of the game, not been doing anything. They've been sitting in the embassy on Earth thinking, wow, are we ever going to find any alien life? Well, probably not, but here we are. So instead of them doing nothing on Earth, we're going to go ahead and improve relationships. We're going to go and send out this person, and then send out this person. And they're going to go over here and they will start improving our relationships with our neighbor. They've immediately closed their border with us. That is not very good. That's annoying, but we are improving our relationships with them, which means that over time they will open up their border to us again. On top of that, they are environmentalist and merchant guild. Interesting. So if we had Megacorp, this would be a Megacorp species. They also have 2 planets out here. What kind of specialization do they have? They are tropical. They have the same opening as us. They got 1 more pop, and they've got a little bit more diplomatic weight than us, which is annoying, but there's nothing that we can't overcome. And on top of that, they got a couple more systems than we do, but I'm sure they didn't get the awesome anomalies that we're about to get. Cool. So first contact has been made. We send out our envoys, and now we let them cook, and let's hope that we can get a good relationship with them, because we want to get a good relationship with our neighbors, right? Keep your friends close, but keep your potential enemies even closer. If this is an RP game and you are a warrior type or an exterminator type, this would be a good time to start mobilizing the fleets. But considering we are the United Nations of Earth and we are a xenophile as well as egalitarian, we have a live or let live approach to our politics here. So we're just going to go and see if we can become long-term friends with these here aliens. However, it does mean that we need to change our survey style a little bit. It means that we need to start surveying these 2 systems as well as this one. Actually, we want to make sure that we can claim this system, and this system. These 3 are going to be very important to us because we want to make sure that we can get this cluster under control in the short term. But mainly the reason for that is so that these aliens cannot expand to this area over here and become a problem to us in the long term, because we want to make sure that we can claim this here system, especially considering there's an alpine world in here that we can potentially colonize somewhere down the line. On top of that, yeah, let's get the geothermal fracking. Let's get some more mining output from our species, shall we? I think that's a good idea. Okay. Where is this? This is, which scientist was this? Okay, that was in that system. So this is our special scientist that is only looking for anomalies. He's not actually doing the anomaly. Now at this point, science is actually rather important because as you can see, this button over here, it says industry, and our scientist is an industry specialist. However, we could just say that this statecraft scientist is not necessarily the best option for this. As you can see, this expertise in industry means that we get a 24% bonus in researching this. So if we go, for instance, to our society researcher and look for a new scientist, potentially in statecraft, there is currently none. If we did have one, we would potentially just hire that scientist and just temporarily replace this particular scientist with that scientist, just so that we can get a more optimized growth rate on our science. The same thing goes for this guy. He's maniacal. We get a 5% research speed bonus. We're actually going to go and swap these two around. I think that would be a good idea. Where are you? Yes, you're level 2. Right. So we're just actually going to go and swap these two scientists around. And there's a good reason for this. We want to make sure that we have a maniacal researcher on society, because it gives us access to a rather interesting technology, which is, of course, the wonders of psionics. Maniacal scientists have a higher chance of finding special types of research. It's all based on modifiers. Certain types of research will only be dropped at certain times. So certain scientists will have a higher chance of finding out specific rare types of research. Let's put it that way. We have an additional scientist available, so we're just going to go ahead and go to the Sol system and build ourselves another science ship, because of course we want to make sure that that scientist levels as fast as possible. In the meantime, our construction ship is again available, and we want to go ahead and find ourselves a good system to colonize, especially one that has a lot of resources in it, like this one. So let's quickly pause here, and let's get a Starbase outpost here for 90 alloys, as well as 75 influence. Again, we got that influence for making first contact. And on top of that, our special project at the gas giant has finished, and we're going to get ourselves a new ship. So we've managed to get ourselves a derelict ship from this gas giant. And as soon as we hit excellent, we will gain a new ship. And there it is. It is extremely powerful. It is a cruiser, and there it is. It will render now. Look at that beauty. And it's actually stronger than any of our fleet. Now, we want to make sure that this ship is actually in orbit at one of our stations. So we just right-click here on our fleet to see where it is, the first fleet that is. And we are just going to go ahead and right-click on this station and make sure that it is set as the home base for this fleet. Then we hit this button, the return button, and then this fleet will automatically return to this here station, and it will receive the joys of the crew quarters, which means that it will cost less resources in terms of upkeep to exist, basically. That's what we want to make sure happens. In addition, considering our fleet is all of a sudden 4 times as strong, we can go over here, and all of a sudden, these guys are no longer overwhelming. It basically means that by adding this ship, which is the strength of 3 corvettes, all loaded into one ship, it means that our fleet all of a sudden is a lot more powerful. And on top of that, our relationship with them is increasing very rapidly here, which is great. But we still need to find ourselves another continental world to call our own. And we're going to do that by using this here science ship. We grab the additional scientists that we have available, and we're just going to go ahead and survey these systems. Actually, no, we're not going to do those systems. We're going to go and grab these ones instead, because these are our key ones down here. We want to make sure that we grab these 3 systems, and applying more science ships to surveying this area is going to be important. We've unlocked some additional edict campaigns, which is great. We want to make sure that we grab some admin capacity, possibly, or off-world trading companies. Interesting. We're going to go ahead and go for the admin cap in this case, because we are almost getting at the level of not having enough admin cap, at least almost going over our soft cap. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen, so we don't get hit with any malices, especially on our technology, because we want to stay ahead of the tech game for as long as possible and as quickly as possible. So that right there is something we want to make sure happens. Well, yeah, overall, I think we're looking pretty good here. Can we get a special scientist? No, we can't. That is a shame. So we're just going to go ahead and continue surveying as much as we can, especially with this guy over here, because they're going to get us, hopefully, all the anomalies that we want due to the wonders of being meticulous. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Oh, wow. This system is shaping up to be really, really good. And they found out another anomaly. It's an ancient precursor civilization. Remember, we got the first league earlier on, And this is a hard one, but we're going to leave it for now and let one of our other scientists deal with that later down the line. Every single anomaly has a certain level attached to it. We're going to quickly build some mining stations here because we have the resources for it. Every single anomaly has a certain level attached to it. The higher the level, the longer it takes for us to survey. Of course, if we apply a higher level scientist like this fellow over here, who's a level 4, it means that they will take less time to survey things. And I think they are basically done here. We're going to let this guy survey all of this stuff still, and you are going to go down here towards this black hole, because then we can talk about space weather. Oh boy, how exciting, space weather. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of stuff going on here all the time. We want to survey this. As you can see, there's now our second fleet is now in orbit here of the station. That's good. That means that it will cost less in upkeep. We get all of these anomalies due to the wonders of Map the Stars. And on top of that, we are happily expanding. Now at this stage, we could make a choice. We could go ahead and say, look, we want to make sure that we can get more alloys, but I don't want to really get more fleet out, because the more fleet we have, the more alloys it will cost. If you hover over our alloys, for instance, you will see that our ships are consuming 1.3 alloys. Now in the late game, this will start raking into the hundreds of alloys, and that's something we want to avoid. Ooh, fragments of life. X-Planet. +3. Oh, speaking of alloys, we got +3 alloys down here, which would basically improve our alloy production by 33%. On top of that, this fine person has found out about the joys of this here black hole. In this black hole, we've got something called space weather. Now, space weather applies to certain types of systems like pulsars, quasars, black holes, certain types of space storms, because yes, that is a thing. And every single one of them has certain environmental effects. So, for instance, at this black hole, we get a thing that says your ships have less of a chance to disengage from combat, and also emergency FTL jump down is a lot less, which means that if there's combat here, the ships are less likely to survive the encounter. And we've also found ourselves some alien vessels in this here system. We don't want to go in there, so we hit once again the restricted button, and we go from there. Very nice indeed. Construction ship. We have enough alloys, we have enough influence. So what we're going to do is we're going to build ourselves another construction ship, and we're going to send this fleet over here to build a new area over here. And we are going to unlock carrier operations. Because carrier operations is actually surprisingly important for several reasons. And there's a wormhole. And we are going to get field modulation for the energy credits bonus. Anything that gives us a flat percentage bonus is great. So let's put it that way. We're going to go for automatic exploration. We touched upon this in the last video. I don't necessarily want to go for it just yet, but it would give us a survey bonus, which is kind of nice. On top of that, we found ourselves a natural wormhole. It's of course a wormhole. It goes somewhere, but right now we don't know where it goes yet because we don't have the wormhole stabilization technology, which is a bit of a shame. You know, it's a thing. And at this point, our economy is starting to ramp up. You know, we have more and more stuff to do. We currently don't have enough housing, so we want to build a city district. And we're going to go to our planetary features and start removing these here things. Oh, I never removed sprawling slums. That is a shame. That means that I missed completely a pop. But yeah, we are removing the industrial wasteland, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. We're actually going to move the sprawling slums one up just so that we can get some more value out of it. Because we want that additional pop as soon as that city district is online, which is great. And as you can see, a lot of our science ships now don't have anything to do. So we're going to continue queuing up new missions and new places to boldly go where no man or woman has gone before by just surveying as much as we can in space. Good. And this construction ship is done. We're going to go and build an outpost over here, and for the alloys, but also because it's en route to the Doria system, which we want to take control of. There's a good chance, considering they've already claimed this system, that they're going to try to take the Doria system, which would be unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Yeah, they're expanding in this direction, so it looks like they are potentially trying to consolidate down here, which is fine. We're going to continue building new stuff in here. Sirius system has 6 minerals in it, which is great. We're not going to expand there just yet because we don't have the influence at all. Our factions are super happy, and in general, looking at our colony here, we got 2 pops. We have a job available here, so we can just go ahead and resettle this. What we're actually going to do is we are going to go to our policy screen, go to this resettlement, and actually allow resettlement. This is going to make one of our factions a little bit unhappy because of the free movement modifier, but overall the impact is rather limited. So we're going to actually start resettling one of our pops, the unemployed one, to like and subscribe because we want more pops on this planet. So now we have 3 here, and if there is another pop that's available on Earth, we can always move it over here, and then we're towards this building slot, the first one, the really important one, even quicker. And we definitely want to do that because we want to build a robot lab. And there you have it, the basics of expanding the economy, the resettlement system, getting the anomalies out of control, some of the edict system. We talked about policies as well as first contact and how envoys work. What an exciting time. Oh, and I completely forgot the optimization of technology. A very exciting time indeed. We are 15 years into the game and we've seen so many things already within the galaxy at large, but there is so much more to see. We have potential allies, but also potential enemies on our doorstep. We've got a fallen empire towards our galactic west. Maybe they will do something naughty. Maybe they won't. Well, probably not doing anything naughty for quite some time, let's put it that way. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this overview here. Once again, we're taking a more organic approach towards this tutorial. The more we're playing, the more systems we're interacting with, and you will get an idea of how these systems work by me explaining to you how they integrate within the larger scope of the game. And that right there is something that I would like you to understand, because the individual systems I could go into. I could go into the ship designer, I could go into the civics, I could go into the edict system, but if you do not understand how they are interwoven with the other systems, there is really no point, and that is the whole idea behind this tutorial series. I hope you've enjoyed this look at expansion, as well as the addition of the previous tutorials, because we're rehashing quite a lot of stuff from there. But yeah, expansion, first contact, research, and anomalies, as well as a cruiser that we've managed to dig up from a gas giant. Very good stuff. We've managed to get a lot of stuff done in this video, and I hope that you have, in fact, enjoyed it. I'm going to drop the save file once again on the Discord. There is a special channel on my Discord server. It's under Stellaris. You can go in there and just download this save file, and once you have it, you can play along and see where we go from here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm in the comments below for you to answer anything in this version of the game, or any version of the game, really. I've been playing this game for over 4 years now, so yeah, I would know a reasonable amount of the game itself. Next time, we're going to be talking about trade value as well as piracy, because yes, that is a thing, and yeah, it's going to be a very interesting subject to talk about. In the meantime, though, I'm going to go and wrap this up here. I want to thank my patrons for making this video possible, and of course, all of you, dear new viewers that are out there. Please stick around for this series. I put some videos on the screen right now for you to enjoy, and they are, of course, relevant. If you haven't seen any of the previous videos, feel free to go and check them out. And of course, the tier list video with the expansions, if you're so inclined to pick up one of those. If you have an expansion, if you want to pick up an expansion, this list is a perfect place to figure out what you should get. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.